the challenges that have come between the U.S. government and the Chinese government over the past few years, I think that they'll continue to work them out.
China's financial opening up has accelerated in the recent years. So how do you see Nasdaq support companies trying to explore their market in the Chinese market?
U.S. investors love China because it is a total addressable market that is enormous, has some fantastic companies that are being built there, and they want to be part of the growth of China. It's a great China story.
How do you see the Greater Bay Area in China developing in the coming years?
I really think that there are some fantastic entrepreneurs that are building amazing businesses in the Greater Bay Area.
What role does Nasdaq play in supporting these companies?
We're the deepest market in the world. We've got the most liquidity. We have the most support for companies who are going to go outside of their local market, and especially for a Chinese company coming literally to the other side of the world to list their shares.
Hi, Bob.
Nice to be with you. Thanks. Welcome to Nasdaq. Welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us.
Yes.
So we know you just came back from a trip to China. So let's get started from here.
Yeah, it was my first trip in 3.5 years, so it was a long time. Overdue. I was excited to finally get back, see my teammates in person, but more importantly to see companies.
So have you been to, which cities have you been to, and what takeaways do you want to share with our audience?
So I was in Beijing, Shanghai, Nanjing, Hangzhou, Shenzhen, Hong Kong on this trip, and saw over 3 dozen companies during a very short amount of time. And the takeaways are that China is certainly back. People are back. They're working, and we really think that there continue to be some amazing companies being built in China, and we're excited about the opportunity to list those companies on Nasdaq. And there's just China's a land of entrepreneurs, and there are great entrepreneurs all over the world. I think the U.S. gets we're famous for our entrepreneurs here because they built some amazing companies, but there are great entrepreneurs all over China, and Changsha and Guangzhou and Zhengzhou and Shenyang and Suzhou. I mean, there's great entrepreneurs building businesses, and we want to go talk to them about what's great about Nasdaq and what we can do to support them as they grow their businesses.
So sounds like you've been to many cities and you are very familiar with China. So because our group is based in the Greater Bay Area, especially in Guangdong and Guangzhou. So how do you see the Greater Bay Area in China developing in the coming years?
Well, the Greater Bay Area seems like it's become more and more of a focus. Certainly central government is supporting that area, has made some focus on certainly Macau. We've seen great EV car companies like Xiaopeng come out of Guangzhou. Hong Kong will still be a tremendous center for finance, and then Shenzhen has been a great place for entrepreneurs to build technology companies, and obviously led by Tencent there. So we really think that the Greater Bay Area will be one of the most important areas going forward in all of China, and it just kind of goes along with the fact of the traditional, but also a lot of technology companies being built in Beijing. Really some fantastic companies in the Shanghai to Suzhou area, both in technology and then in healthcare. And then you get down to the Greater Bay Area.
The southern part of China, right? So comparing to other major technology hubs around the world, such as Silicon Valley, how do you see the relationship of the Greater Bay Area in China comparing to these other technology hubs around the world? How do they evolve in the future?
Well, as I mentioned, I really think that there are some fantastic entrepreneurs that are building amazing businesses in the Greater Bay Area. I think that the local government, the provincial governments are certainly supporting those efforts. That's what's so wonderful. You've got some fantastic universities that are there that are turning out great engineers, and the culture there, as I mentioned, the hardworking culture among the Chinese people, I think will continue to drive the innovation, will continue to drive the production of some of the important technologies that the world needs. And we talk about Silicon Valley, we talk about Austin, Texas, we talk about Tel Aviv in Israel, we talk about Singapore, we talk about a lot of different places around the world where technology is being built and where new innovations are coming from. But certainly among those, you must think of the Greater Bay Area, especially kind of the hub there in Shenzhen, being so important in the continued evolution of technology and the development of it over the next decades.
So the key word is technology, because we know a lot of big tech companies got listed at Nasdaq, right?
We think we have the greatest technology companies in the world listed here on Nasdaq, yes.
So how does Nasdaq, like what role does Nasdaq playing in supporting these companies? How does your organization like approaching opportunities in business development or relationship management?
Well, first of all, I think we need to understand and make sure your audience understands that we don't come to China with an idea that we are going to convince every company in China to come and list on Nasdaq. China has great capital markets. They have the third board in Beijing. They have the Star Market. They have Shanghai, Shenzhen, Hong Kong, third board. They've got plenty of markets where companies that are homegrown in China can list their shares and can continue to grow their businesses. There are a number of companies every year. Usually it's about 36 companies in an average year, certainly over the past decade, who choose proactively to list outside of the local market. And if they do make that choice, we firmly believe that Nasdaq is the best place for them to list. We're the deepest market in the world. We've got the most liquidity. We have the most support for companies who are going to go outside of their local market, and especially for a Chinese company coming literally to the other side of the world to list their shares. We think we've put together the best program of support for them. In fact, we have built out a suite of services that are actually delivered to a company in language, in time zone, out of Hong Kong, to help them to make that transition from private to public, and then support them every day as a public company in the U.S. capital markets. And we think that's an important role that Nasdaq plays. We support them on services. We certainly support the trading and being the most liquid market in the world. But we also support them by allowing them to raise capital multiple different times. One of the key areas here at Nasdaq is our biotech franchise. We've got the most biotech companies in the world listed on our market. We've been the home for biotech for the past 2 or 3 decades. But companies in biotech need to consistently raise money, and they need a liquid market in order to be able to do that. And they feel comfortable being here on Nasdaq because they know that we've supported biotech companies for the 52 years that Nasdaq has been in existence. And so that's why, whether it's one from Suzhou, or whether it's one from Israel, or whether it's one from Cambridge, Massachusetts, or San Diego, they want to come to Nasdaq because they know that we'll be able to support them in the best way. And I think that's what the message that we've been able to deliver to companies in China is the support that we're able to give to them as they make that transition into the public markets.
Okay, so Nasdaq offer great, excellent services and support to the companies trying to make a transition from private to public company.
Absolutely.
So next question may be a little bit hard to answer, because we all know recent years the Sino-US relations have encountered some sort of challenges, but there are still a lot of US companies trying to calling for cooperation and looking for new opportunities to expand in the Chinese market. And from the capital market perspective, China's financial opening up has accelerated in the recent years. So how do you see Nasdaq support companies trying to explore their market in the Chinese market?
Well, I think that it would be important for your audience to understand, first of all, what we do at Nasdaq. As a public company ourselves, we're about a $27 billion market cap public company ourselves. And we have several different divisions. One is our listings and services business, which clearly you understand, and what I do and what my colleagues do in Hong Kong and around the globe to support our companies as they come public. We have our transaction business that is in equities, options, futures, commodities here in the U.S. and in the 7 markets in the Nordics that we own. We have a data and index business where we clearly have our ETFs, our flagship being the Nasdaq 100, the QQQ, of which 5 Chinese companies are part of the Nasdaq 100. We're very proud of that fact. We have our insight analytics business, We have our market technology business where we provide technology to 130 different exchanges around the world. And we have our anti-financial crimes business. So Nasdaq is, as a public company, is a lot more than just listings and trading. But we, ourselves, philosophically, we think that a rise in the markets around the world, markets getting better, markets getting more liquid, having more companies being listed, having more access for institutional and retail investors, that's a good thing. So the 30 plus years that the Chinese markets have been around and their continued development, that's a wonderful thing, and we support that. And so that gives optionality, as I mentioned, to companies from China to list locally, as well as some of them to choose to list in the U.S. And so we're very, very supportive of those the companies continuing to have those kind of options. And we are an apolitical organization. We're here to support companies. We're not one who wants to get involved in the back and forth between China and the United States. We want to make sure that the markets run efficiently and give those companies that need to raise money, those that are building new plants, those that are bringing new therapies to market, that they get the money that they need in order to do that. And you know, the challenges that have come between the U.S. government and the Chinese government over the past few years, I think that they'll continue to work them out. They'll never be perfect. It's never perfect between governments around the world, and it's not just between China and the U.S. There's plenty of countries that don't get along with other countries all the time. But I think we need to focus on the fact that U.S. investors love China because it is a total addressable market that is enormous, has some fantastic companies that are being built there, and they want to be part of the growth of China. It's a great China story, and we want to help bring that option to U.S. investors, and we want to bring that option to the entrepreneurs from China that want to list in the U.S.
It's good to hear. This is a great China story. Okay, so did you observe any particular trends, like recently, especially after pandemic, of companies in APAC or China coming to Nasdaq for IPOs?
Well, as I mentioned, we'll continue to have a strong presence in healthcare, and that's certainly an area between traditional therapies, devices, biotech, that China is continuing to grow. And we think that will be an important area for us. And some of those companies I saw when I was there during my recent trip, EV cars, EV car manufacturing. But beyond that, all of the components that go into the production of an EV car. As you know, we listed Hesai, LiDAR company from Shanghai earlier this year. We'll continue to see some of the companies that are in the infrastructure, EV car infrastructure, such as those that are doing charging, those that are doing grid management. Those will be important aspects of IPOs in the future. And we think that we'll continue to see some technology companies, fintech companies that will look forward to an IPO on Nasdaq in the future from China.
Right, because at this moment, China has been investing a lot of capital into the new energy as well as technology companies, right?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. That's all the questions we have. So thank you so much, Bob, for answering all the questions.
Delighted to have you here, and we hope you'll come back often.
Sure, of course. Thank you.